Return normal.
Your daily out with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's the program.
I wore a lighter shirt today so that I could be seen.
Good.
Partly. Somewhat, mostly, maybe, sort of, kind of.
We're on TV.
Ah, yeah.
Once again, once a day, every day, turn on the machines and we start talking.
It's another day today.
It's Monday.
And whatever happens on the program happens.
Oh, it's true.
I try not to have regrets.
I think that's whatever happens everywhere happens. I mean, that's...
Some things one tries to rewrite what happened and paint it differently afterwards because whatever happened wasn't liked.
All right.
So that never happened. You didn't say that thing. I didn't say that thing. I didn't do that thing. It never happened.
That's you can deny.
You didn't hear me say that thing that I just said right there.
Deny real things.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they did happen. Don't deny your.
Oh, I've had arguments with people. They say a thing, and then I'm like, "But you said this thing," and they're like, "No, I did not." And I'm like, "So you're telling me I didn't hear what I just heard?" Yeah, you didn't hear it right.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
who knows?
I haven't had an argument like that in years and years, but I had it, and I would just sit there in shock, like, I don't know what you think that you can, how that you think, yeah.
One of you two is off your rocker when you're having a.
Yeah, pretty much. And it wasn't
which
me.
one? You sure it's not you though? Maybe.
Oh, well, sometimes, you'll see hear a thing, and a person, after the fact, will go into straight denial and deny the thing, and you start to have a little self-doubt because they are so solid on their belief or what they're stating that the thing that happened never happened, that you start to doubt your memory. You start to doubt what your experiences.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had that happen where they say this absolutely did not happen. I'm like, what?
Start to believe it.
So yeah, and you wonder if they are forgetting or they're just outright big hairy liars.
Yeah.
I've done that where I doubt the experience. And hold on a second, I got a hair that keeps poking my eye.
Ooh.
Like I've got a really long eyelash or something. It's like this little.
Fell in there.
Well, sometimes I get a hair caught in my glasses.
Yeah.
And it stabs me in the eye, and it's really annoying.
It's the daytime. It was early today.
It is.
If you see us being different, and also where's Carl? Again.
Yeah, Carl isn't here. That means he wasn't available.
Yeah, it's early.
Yeah, normally we do it in the evenings. So.
Well, not in the last month. I think.
Yeah. Will this be the third time?
Yeah, maybe.
That we've done it during the day. He hasn't been here.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be.
How was your week?
Oh, highly eventful.
Yeah.
Highly eventful. The highlight of the week, of course, was the taping of a new episode of the Mental Health News Hour. Mm-hmm. And, when I was doing the show, I either taped the show. For those of you who don't know about the Mental Health News Hour, this is a series I did for about 10 years. Did a new show once a month. And it was me reading mental health news bullets and 2 sock puppets. Various puppeteers. There are different puppeteers throughout the years. Kind of rhymes. Well, anyway, I would usually tape the show in my apartment, and so it was a single camera shoot. It was just a straight up shot. It didn't move or change. Yeah, just single camera.
With the sock puppets in your apartment too?
Yeah.
I always thought that was all TCTV.
About every 3 months or so, every 2 months. And it varied, right? Sometimes I did the shoot in the studio, like 3 or 4 months in a row. Sometimes it was every other month. Sometimes I would go for months, and it was just in my apartment. So it went back and forth. And it was usually when I knew I could plan ahead, and I could book the studio, and I knew the folks were going to show up, and I could gather a crew together.
Okay.
And that was always the issue, is getting a crew. And I usually didn't have too much trouble. And you know, back then the studio was HD and not SD, and you can get away with like 3 or 4 folks. You know, someone at the switcher, someone making sure to press record, running the sound, the sound mixer, and at least one person on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pretty steady shots because I'm sitting there, and then there's a sock puppet on either side of me, and the sock puppets would move around, and so you might need a camera on the sock puppet to make sure that they're getting the shot of the sock puppet, not the puppeteer. And there were different puppeteers that did not want to be on TV. Like when I first started, I had both my daughters do the thing, and neither one of them wanted to be on camera. And this is an interesting phenomena that I noticed when I did the shoot this weekend. So anyway, so I did the show for 10 years, and then I kind of petered out, kind of fizzled out, kind of felt I needed to move on or do something different, or something. I was ready to do something else because of the enormous amount of work involved in doing the show. A huge amount of work. I mean, the month before the show, or the month of the show, or for several weeks before the show was about to run,
That's all the time.
Well, I would get online and I would research mental health news articles of one kind or another. It might be medication, it might be some new discovery about the brain workings in bipolar folks. It might be MRI studies of what's going on when someone is having an acute schizophrenia hallucinatory episode. You know, something like that, or it might be some great big survey that they took, or you know, something. It was, you know, always something. And so I'd find the article, decide whether or not I liked it, and then I would throw it in a Word document, and then I would edit it down to a very small size where I could read it in about 5 minutes or so. And I usually in a typical show, I would do like 6 or 7 news bullets. Then I would try and get through them as fast as I can. And the more news bullets I had, the less time I had to talk about things. And there were some news bullets that needed more discussion. The news bullet would had a lot of references that weren't in the news bullet themselves that I felt I needed to explain to someone who didn't know anything about that particular subject. And so, you know, it varied. But this weekend, a new studio, okay, so the cameras and the equipment are HD, and they're a little bit different. I made a Facebook group, and 18 people signed up or requested to be on it, or I just added to the group and said, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I knew that they were people that were interested in being on the show or participating in the show, either as crew or as puppeteers.
Uh-huh.
And the phenomena of being on camera versus not being on camera is something that I can't relate to. I'm okay with being on camera. You know, just having a camera on.
Here we are, yeah.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. But there are a lot of people that don't want to be on camera. They're very, very resolute on not being on camera. Mm-hmm. Their arms and their voices, yeah, no problem. And I encountered this before we started doing the show, and it was kind of fascinating to me because almost everyone, except for like 3 or 4 people, did not want to be sock puppets. I only had 4 people. And that changed after the first segment. So what I did in this particular show is I divided the show up into 4 13-minute segments with a couple minutes in between, so that, you know, if one ran over, I wouldn't be going over time, because I didn't want to have to edit out anything. I wanted there to be extra time, if nothing else. And that way I would have room to throw something else in between the segments.
Okay.
You know, a little fake commercial, a break in the center, or a long opening and a long closing. And 18 people showed up.
Wow.
And what's so funny is about a third of the people that were on the Facebook group and were clear about participating didn't show up. And 3 or 4 people that either said they weren't coming or expressed no interest or didn't interact on Facebook regarding whether or not they were going to be there, they showed up. And yeah, most of them didn't want to be a sock puppet until they saw how it worked.
Yeah.
And I had my daughter and Maggie, who used to work at the station, like 4 years ago, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. They were the first two because they had had the most experience doing sock puppets. No one else had done it before. And so I had them go first. And, oh, it was rusty. They hadn't done sock puppetry in years and years and years. I mean, I hadn't done it in 5 years. But, you know, it was old hat for me. I knew exactly what I was going to do and that sort of thing. But they were a little rusty. And as the segment went on, they kind of adopted they got a sense of, you know, they got their sea legs back on.
Okay.
And then after that segment was over, I kind of asked again. I had a little sheet for people to sign up. More people wanted to be sock puppets because they realized their bodies were not on the show and just their arms and their voices. The other interesting thing is I wanted all the dudes to talk in the falsetto.
Uh-huh.
Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. Right?
Yeah.
They all refused.
What? No.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. They all refused. They wouldn't do it. And I'm kind of like, well, I can't, you know, bend their arm or anything. You know, the falsetto, a guy doing a falsetto is comedy. It's funny.
Yeah.
And I don't think they understood that that's why I wanted them to do that. They just, you know, would feel too silly. And they'd never done it before. And they had not seen the show. And recently I posted 8 episodes, various episodes from like 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. I think I had one from 2008, maybe one from 2009. Yeah, I think one per year I posted.
Okay.
And I referenced that in the Facebook group. Watch the show, see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And some did and some didn't. So the second segment went better because folks saw kind of how it worked and they saw what I was expecting and what they could get away with and or just kind of what the role meant and how it looked and stuff. And so every segment got better and better. And the fourth one was great. And then I did a promo at the end, and there were like 7 or 8 people that got up and said, hello, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of winged it. It wasn't a very good promo because, you know, I had no script. I was just making it up as I went along, and I had to do like 4 takes. And the fourth one was the best. Yeah. Yeah. But 18 people showing up. I mean, like, I'm throwing a television show party. And 18 people show up, and they're all looking at me to tell them what to do. And I'm like, well, listen, you guys figure out, you know, what position you want to be, whether it's a sock puppet or you could swap. You could run camera and then trade with someone else and do sock puppet and then go back and run camera again, or, you know, whatever. It didn't matter to me. You guys got to figure it out. And if you're not part of the crew, come be part of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so there, I had 8 different sock puppets. I had 6 crew that rotated. They rotated around. I'm not really sure who was doing what, at least in the control room. And then everyone else was sitting in the audience. And Joe Neal's kid, James, who's like 10 years old, he really wanted to be a sock puppet.
Yeah.
And he's 10 years old. And I was really uncomfortable with him being a sock puppet. I had to tell him no a bunch of times.
You didn't give him a chance even? You could have
I
edited
did
him
the
out.
end. I told him, listen, you sit and watch the show and see how it works and see what a sock puppet does. And at the end of the show, you help me do the promo.
Yeah.
And so other people got involved in the promo, so he didn't really get highlighted or anything. But he got a sense of how it worked. And so I told him the next time I do a show, he's certainly invited to be a sock puppet. And we would have, a discussion beforehand. Here, don't do this. Please do that. Stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, and there were technical glitches, and things took way longer.
Yeah.
Way longer. I expected to start rolling, start recording at about 3:30 because I booked the studio from 2 to 6. We didn't actually get started until closer to 5.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was more like 4:30, and the time between the segments, because, different sock puppets would... they would take off the microphones and people would figure out what they were going to do, and then we'd pick a news bullet and this sort of thing. So the time between segments was much longer. It was more like 10 minutes than 5 minutes or something. So that took longer. But what made me so happy is that each segment went well. The interaction of the puppeteers and how they operated the puppets went great. And I knew that we were doing good because people in the audience would laugh when someone would say or do something, or I would hear laughter from the control room. Mm-hmm. And the doors are closed, and if you could hear them laughing from the control room, you've done well.
Yeah.
And it's spontaneous. It's improv. There's no script. Except I'm reading a thing and they're making comments or asking questions or doing something, biting on my ear or getting in front or, just being silly, doing something. And the whole 10 years that I did the show, this would happen. Sock puppets would interact with me in some way that I didn't think or feel was amusing at the time, but then I would watch it and I would start laughing because they would just say something silly or dumb or ask a question that was just funny.
Okay.
So that happened this time. So that was really good. That made me happy.
Did you get to watch all your footage afterwards and stuff? Or?
No. I've been just stupid busy since. I mean, I got home Saturday and then, what was I doing? A friend lost his debit card, and so he asked me to help him find it, and that took.
Where did he lose it? Like in the place?
Yeah.
Where was it?
He never found it.
Oh no, really?
Yeah,
probably,
we scoured.
You probably lost it out.
Yeah, well, he was looking in his car seat, under his car seat, where it would fall out of his pocket.
Yeah, most likely you would use it at a store and leave it at the store or something.
Yeah, that's usually the way it works.
Did you call the stores?
I don't know. He needed access to the building, and I had a key, and so I called my boss and says, hey, blah blah blah. Do you mind if we go in there and take a look see? And she said, sure.
Uh-huh.
So we went in there and looked for about half an hour and couldn't find it, and then hung out afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was Joe actually, and
the
director. He directed the show. He did great. He really did great. And then Sunday I had Xander with me all day, and then I had company immediately afterwards, and then there's today. So I had some time this morning to start looking at the footage and start, building the intro and the music and stuff like that. So that, it turned out okay. So I'm working on it. It's going to take me a few weeks to get it put together and then on the channel. So yeah. But it was great. I had a lot of fun.
Hopefully I'll be able to get on the next time around at a time for me.
Yeah. Better planning. Joe will have a better sense of what he's got to do.
Maybe I'll try to get...
Yeah.
I'll dedicate my own time to it, too, instead of being hurried.
Yeah, that sucked.
I get used to this show, and when we do a TCTV show, we throw everything together so fast I forget that people do... more. That people spend more time setting things up instead of just going for it. That's how we've been doing it for so long, and I kind of think that's the way that it goes for everybody now. But now I don't think that's the case. I think most people set up a lot more than we ever do.
Is it time for the dice game?
Yeah, it's time for the dice game. Here we go. I'm gonna get the thing going. If we just turn on the machines and start talking, we don't have to set up anything. Here we go. It's the dice. Pachingo. Okay, we go. Write a number. Dan's gonna run the camera today. Maybe we should call Carl. Let's call Carl while we're doing this. Also, let's just see if he wants a number or see what he's doing. Hey, Carl, where are you? The camera's off, I think. Should be number 2. Number 2 on that thing, and then yeah. Number 2 on that. Yeah, there we go. Here we go, Ron. Carl!
Yes.
It's the program on TV. How are you?
12.
Pick a number.
1.
Nope. It's a 6. I have a 4. Dan is a 3.
Oh.
Everybody lost.
That's the number I had last night.
Yeah, you could have won it, but you didn't. You picked the wrong one, apparently. But you still have a chance to win. That's only the first dice.
Okay.
What do you do? What's on the screen? You looking at the streets right now?
Yeah, they start a certain group half an hour early now, so I'm in socialization.
You're in the group?
Right now, yeah, there's socialization, so people are eating lunch and talking about various stuff.
What's for lunch?
Hmm?
What's for lunch? What are you eating?
Oh, I'm not eating anything. I'm just here to socialize when that time comes.
What are they eating?
Yeah, what's for lunch?
They are eating mushroom soup and garlic bread and cheesy garlic bread and salad.
Oh, nice. That's a nice lunch. That'd be good.
All right. Carl, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Okay, have a good time socializing.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself. Say hi for me.
Okay.
Say Dan.
You're welcome. I'll try.
Dan is here. You want to say something to Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hey, Carl. Carl?
Carl?
Are you still there?
Yeah. Hey, listen. I did another episode of the Mental Health News Hour. Hello?
I don't think you can hear us well. Carl, thanks, Carl. Bye.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
Bye, Carl.
Bye.
That was weird.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's like, what is he, in a train station?
Yeah.
He's in Grand Central Olympia Station.
Oh, it was kind of...
Yeah, noisy environment. He's highly distracted.
There was a lot of stuff going on. I think he was in a group.
Yeah.
So when's the next one? Going to be next month?
No. Probably about 3 months.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it depends on how long it takes me to edit the show. And when I was doing the original show, oh my God, it took a long time. It took me, I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours editing it. I had these interstitials where there was my head, and my head would spin around, and I would ask a fake story problem. And they were usually highly politicized, mocking commentary of one sort or another regarding George Bush. He was a president at the time. I mean, he became president. He was president from 2000 to 2008. So almost all of the show was him as president. During that time, we started the Iraq War, or the Afghanistan War. We invaded Iraq. So many of these spinning head breaks were commentary on all the money we were spending on it, the bullshit that occurred to get us into the war in the first place, and bad behavior of Republicans often. And they're not the kind of spinning head breaks that are good for any year, any time, right? They're specific to that era, specific to that time frame and that sort of thing. So I don't think I'm gonna do any of those in this show. And so those, I mean, what I would do is I would green screen everything but my head, and then I would keyframe it so it spun around, and then I would have like a multi-layered animated background that would move around and flow around. Really video art floating around behind me. Sometimes my favorite one to do was I had a Photoshop image of a cat. And what I did is I Photoshopped his arm off, and then I extended it, right? I painted on his arm, and then I would make his arm move around.
Yeah.
And my head would float back and forth like a ping pong ball, or a billiard ball would float around. And when it came close to the cat would lift his arm and go, and then my head would go flying across the screen and then bounce and then come back, and the cat would go,
yeah.
Well,
that sounds like it would take a long time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it took so long. So I hadn't planned on doing anything like that. I might try something in the middle.
Yeah.
But I'm really not sure what I'm going to do in between the segments.
Well, it seems like the meat of the show is just the part where it's kind of improv and long form, and and then you spend so much time and kind of maybe on this animation stuff. So it's probably better to, I think, simplify a little bit.
Yep. If I simplify it, it'll be a lot less work, and I'm inclined to do the show more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would spend a long time researching news articles, and then a long time editing them down to a form that I could read in a language that I could read, and then there was doing the show, and then there was a post-production work of throwing in these interstitials, and also for the show, and I'm going to do it for this show, is I had these blurbs that would appear. One of these blurbs was a ticker, right? A news ticker that runs. What's that called? It's where, like on CNN or MSNBC, a little news article that runs along the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
a
I've
news
seen
ticker.
that.
Yeah, and so I would do that, and it was new medications, but they were all fake. New medications for bad child behavior, and one was sit down and shut up-a-thon, right? It always had a zine or a peen or a Pam or a zine or whatever at the end.
Drug names.
Yeah. Or new medications for overly loud people. And shut your pie hole a peen.
Okay.
Or no talk-a-dawn hydrochloride. Or thought be gone.
Yeah.
All day formula, stuff like that. So I'd have fake medications. I usually would throw in one or two things that would just appear. These little text boxes would appear, and they would say, Dan is not a doctor, but you should see what he can do with duct tape, a wheelchair, and 1,000 cotton swabs.
Yeah.
Or Dan may not be a doctor, but you should see what he could do with 50 surgical gloves, a helium tank, and what's that? Tape, right? Medical tape.
Medical tape.
Yeah. And so I would try and paint a picture. You know, you fill up the gloves with helium and use a tape to string them together and blah blah blah, something like that.
Yeah.
So Dan may not be a doctor, but you should see what he can do with blah blah blah. I would have other these regular little blurbs that would show up. And that was a lot of work because I had to come up with, something silly, something funny.
That's a lot of work.
And, creativity. I'd have to, make up jokes from scratch. And sometimes I'm just full of it. And bing, 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 bing. I can knock them out, and I would read them later, and I would laugh at them. And therefore, they're funny.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were funny.
Afterwards, yeah.
Thus, they were funny.
All right.
So I do that. So I'm going to do some of those, but those aren't a huge amount of work to do. So if I can get this one finished, edited, and turned in within 2 weeks, then I'll probably do another show sooner rather than later.
Hey, good.
And people have been asking me. But yeah, it was hella fun.
Cool. Hey, let's do this. Look at this. Oh yeah, you're here.
Now it's info time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're watching Your Daily Hour with me. It's an hour-long, hyper-live call-in talk show that's something every day in Thurston County, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, except for leap year where it's one more day. I can't read this. Taped every week. So if you're watching the show today, it was taped yet last Monday, and there's a 2 a.m. episode that was from the same day of the month last year. You can watch any of the episode on YouTube. Anyone can be on the program, especially you. We rely on the community for content, so give us a call, and we'll call you back when we're on the program.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. I don't do that nearly as well as Carl.
Yeah, Carl has it practically memorized.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say he has it memorized.
Some people can read it.
Yeah.
It's real fast too.
Yeah. I have trouble with that particular text font.
Oh, the font. Well, you couldn't read it before too, though.
Yeah, but I haven't got it memorized.
Extra trouble. That's okay.
I have trouble memorizing scripts and lyrics and stuff. I have to work at it.
I don't remember anything ever. That's why it's all written down or not remembering things.
Yeah.
We're calling Freddie the producer.
Okay. I've got a little bit of
Hey, you've reached Freddie Dover.
Oh, yeah?
I can't come to the phone right now, but if you leave me a nice message, then I will call you back as soon as I can. Thanks a lot.
If it's a program, you can call us back in about, let's say, 20 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Science?
Yeah. Okay, did I talk about the Rosetta probe and the comet and the little lander?
Yeah.
Did I talk about that?
I think a little bit.
The thing woke up. The little lander on the comet woke up. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, there is a comet 67P. It's in the far end of the asteroid belt. It's in the snowy part, and the comet orbits as far out as Saturn, and then a little bit closer than Mars, and it has a real elliptical orbit. So they sent a probe. The probe caught up to it and orbited it for a little while, and then it dropped a probe onto the comet. And what was supposed to happen is there were like these 2 or 4 harpoons, and the harpoons would fire and pin the probe onto the comet because the comet's gravity is so weak. And the harpoons failed, and it bounced 2 miles from the surface, and then it landed again, and then bounced for about a mile, and then it bounced a third time, and then finally it landed on its side in a little crevasse out of the sun. And so its solar panels didn't receive enough sunlight. Its batteries lasted for 60 hours before it went into hibernation. And that was 9 months ago. And the comet's orientation, where it faces the sun, was now in a place where sunlight was finally getting to the solar panels of the lander. And the lander woke up, and they've begun doing science with the lander, where the probe sends radar and radio signals of various frequencies through the comet to the lander, and they bounce back. The lander sends telemetry back about what kind of signal it got, and so the comet, in combination with the lander, as the comet moves, as the probe orbits the comet, it gets different scans from different locations through the comet, and figure out density, composition, materials, different kinds of stuff in it. See if there's a core, kind of, you know, all the basically scanning the whole comet, depending on the orientation of where the probe is in relation to the Philae lander and the material in between. So they've started doing that already. So that was exciting. We are a little less than a month away from Pluto. We've got color images now, and Pluto is orange. And
it's orange, not blue?
Pluto?
Yeah.
No, it's orange. Orange, brown, pink.
It's always depicted as being blue
yellow.
in school.
Yeah, do you know why they do that? Because blue is a cool color.
Yeah.
And we're used to seeing ice as white or blue.
Yeah.
And so they want to depict an environment that is absolutely super cold, frozen ice.
Yeah.
And so that's why they do it blue, but it is not blue at all. Neither the moon, Charon, or Pluto itself are blue.
How long do we know
They're
it's not blue?
Browns, reds, oranges, pinks, yellows, white.
Is that a new discovery, that the color of it, or
they knew its color was kind of orange. They couldn't really get a good sense of the color of Charon, but I mean, we're pretty close. We're I think 50 million miles away now.
Yeah.
Which is really, really close. They turned on the New Horizons probe as it approached Pluto when it was the distance that Earth and Mars would be at their closest point to each other.
Okay.
I think 200 million miles. Mars is 2.5 times further away from the sun that the Earth is. And so the Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun. So double that, that's 180 million. And then a half of that again is another 550 million. So 180 plus 50, so it's about 230. So we'll just say around 200 million miles away it started taking pictures. And really it was just dots.
Yeah.
And now it's about 3 weeks out, and they have actual physical images of Pluto and the moon, and the surface of Pluto is very colorful, and it's not just plain. It's really got an interesting texture of colors and patterns on it. It's like, it'd be like, I don't know, if you were looking at a part of the Earth where there was a continent and there were mountains and forests and desert and prairies and all the different things you can have on the ground. There's a lot of that on Pluto and a lot of that on the moon. And they know that Pluto has an atmosphere, and they have been watching it for a while. The surface features change over time.
Okay.
Right? Because they see it spinning, and over time, the same face comes around to us, and over time it changes. So the surface of Pluto is dynamic, and it looks like the moon Charon's surface is dynamic, meaning it changes over time.
Yeah.
You've got two bodies that fluctuate in their distance from each other. They face each other. The same side faces each other. They're tidally locked with each other, and they face each other, but they wobble a little bit. And so it's entirely possible that there is a subsurface ocean on Pluto, and possibly a subsurface ocean on Charon. And this would mean shifting geologic plate tectonics on the surface, where you'd have surface ice plates that move and shift around. And when you've got it warmer on the inside than the outside, and you've got shifting plates, you're going to have ice geysers. It looks like both of them have atmospheres. And this would be a little volcano, but instead of lava, it's ice. It's water. It's steam that goes breaking out. So that's entirely possible. We won't know for another couple of weeks. And this probe is going faster than any probe we've ever sent out into space. It is going super fast. It took 9 years to go 3 billion miles.
Wow.
Yeah. 3 billion miles in 9 years. That's a very, very fast probe. It's the fastest one. And it will, they built it.
How fast is it going?
Oh, I don't know.
1,000 miles an hour?
Oh, no. Maybe 10,000 miles an hour.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Stupid fast. Well, the space station orbits the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. In low Earth orbit, you have to be going a certain speed to stay in orbit. And in low Earth orbit, 200-300 miles above the surface, that's about 17,000 miles an hour.
Wow.
And this probe was going faster than that. So the way it works is you send the rocket up and it goes kind of straight up in the air, but it starts to bend, and you're going in the same direction as the Earth is turning. And the Earth spins at about 1,000 miles an hour. So you've got 1,000 miles an hour already as you go into space, and you speed up a little more, another 7,000 miles an hour, and so that's 17,000. But this probe is just going ridiculously fast. It's going to go through the Pluto system in 2 hours, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, about 2 hours it'll take from the time it gets really close. And when they built it, they gave it 2 different cameras that are designed to operate at the same time. It's got a massive hard drive for image storage.
We gotta do all this stuff, yeah?
Yeah. And it was built to go beyond Pluto. Are you going to do the dice?
Yeah, I'll do the dice.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, it was built to go further, and they have a target little icy body that it is supposed to, I project 3.
Oh. 6 and 2.
6 and 2. Oh, man. Whoever picked a 6, you had a 4, right?
I had a 4.
Yeah, whoever picked a 6, they are winners. But
so far.
We haven't talked to anyone. We haven't talked to anyone that picked a 6 yet. So yeah, they knew that the encounter with Pluto was going to be very, very brief, and there are these things out there called Kuiper belt objects.
We gotta look at this commercial too before it's over.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left, do we?
Yeah, we're running out of time.
Okay. So it was designed to visit other worlds beyond Pluto. Further out.
Yeah. Whoa, where are we? There we are. We're on a commercial.
And we're talking about rodents today.
Rodents. They eat their wood to grind their teeth down so they don't grow through their heads.
Their teeth don't grow longer. So tune in every night at 11:30 p.m. and 2
we could do a sneak peek because we're doing this different thing of tomorrow's commercial just because you're here. 6.5 FM. We're gonna do a little cheating here. We're not usually doing this kind of thing, but we can look at Dan's commercial from last year too. This is one that we usually air tomorrow, but we'll see it just because, and then not to rewind it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, people. It's the commercials program, and you.
Yeah, on this program, Carl has a very, very exciting, action-packed, and also terrible day. Oh, don't give it away. Don't tell them that. I talk about Jupiter.
What was it?
Give
it away, Carl. I don't know.
11:30 p.m. and 3 a.m.
The gas planet.
Oh, yeah.
Something else.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Wow.
His car got busted into. He parked at Joanne Fabrics. He was getting some art supplies, and someone stole his
iPod.
No, I think it was his laptop.
Oh yeah.
I think he had some sort of a computer or something he had in there, and it was stolen.
Wow.
And I don't think he was in the habit of locking his car doors.
I don't know.
It's so funny. I know people that won't lock their car doors, and I'm like, you should lock your car doors. Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
And they would say, oh, I don't have anything in here that people would steal. I don't care if I'm not worried about anything in my car. But anything in there right now getting stolen. And I would always say, how about your car?
Yeah, your actual car. Let's play the final dice game. You want to do this one?
Yeah.
All right. This is the final dice game. We're rolling 3 dice this time. This is for the marbles, all the marbles. Here we go. Fours. I won.
You won?
I won barely. 500 points. Really, Carl Jr. took it. Carl Jr., but I won for people who are actually here and not just in the pictures. Yeah, Carl Jr. and Nepitha. But me here today. All right. Well, we're getting down to when they. Whoa. We only have a few minutes left on the program. That box is already blown up because there's too much in it to.
Yeah. I have eaten at Carl Jr.'s once.
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. Twice. I've eaten there twice.
How was it?
Oh, it's pretty good. Oh, when I went there, I got the, for lack of a better word, I got the gigantinormous burger.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, cheese and bacon and just all the things on the burger. Just giant. You can barely get your mouth around it, and it's really messy because there's all the condiments in it and stuff. And you might as well use a knife and a fork. So huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're absolutely overstuffed after eating it, and it's a terrible thing to do. Don't do it.
Don't stuff yourself. That's not not good for you.
No. So now, when I eat a hamburger, I don't eat them very often, but when I do, I just get a little one. I get a junior something, whatever it is. I get a small one. I don't get fries. I don't get a drink. I get water instead. And this little tiny burger, I'll have them loaded up with like cheese and bacon and stuff. And so it's not large in size, but it's large in activity. And there's a lot of flavors and stuff going on with it. So yeah. Yeah, pretty tasty, I would say. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, this New Horizons probe was built to last. It's got a radioisotope generator. It's got a little nuclear thing with plutonium, and it's got a thermolytic generator, meaning that when you have these thin plates that are very, very close to each other, and when there's a heat difference on one side of the plate versus the other side of the little thin sheets, when you have a heat difference, it makes electrons jump across, and it generates electricity. And these things last for years and years and years and years and years. And they slowly get less and less and less power. But this battery, or this electricity source in the New Horizons probe, is good for about 40 or 50 years.
Wow.
And it's going super fast, and it's heading straight out of the solar system.
Does it just take like very little energy, or how is it going to last so long?
Well, it relies on the heat source, and the heat source is plutonium. And plutonium has a half-life of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So there will be a point where it doesn't generate enough heat to keep the electronics warm, which it does because it's hot. They have heat transfer conduits that go from this generator that go into the probe itself that keep it warm enough for the computers to work. It is about 20 or 30 degrees above absolute zero out there. It is extremely cold. It's super, super cold, and so electronics need at least a little bit of heat to do that. So this thing will be generating heat for the probe itself and electricity for the probe itself. And so in another 9 years, it will have gone another 3 billion miles.
Wow.
And then another 9 years, another 3 billion miles.
So it's going to be way out of the solar system by then, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, the solar wind goes out in a sphere. It's actually kind of a teardrop shape because our sun is traveling against the dust and gas of the galaxy. And so it's like if you put a ball in the water and you move the ball and you watch the swirly patterns behind it in front, it generates a little wake and a little wave ahead, a little shock wave as it goes through. So our sun does that, but with the solar wind being blown out. So there's a point at which you reach the edge of what the solar wind is doing with the galactic wind, so to speak, the galactic gas and dust. And this is called the heliopause and helioshock. The terminal, helio terminal, is where it ends. And both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 have hit that spot.
Wow.
And but they are not traveling anywhere near as fast as this probe. And this probe is going to catch up to them probably within about 3 years. It's going so much faster. So, yeah, super fast. And there's like 3 or 4 different objects that they want to steer the New Horizons probe to have it go past 2 or 3 other little Kuiper belt objects, as they're called. There's a disk of cometary-sized bodies floating around the sun, like Pluto, but much, much smaller, that are floating around and in this disk, and they want to try and have the New Horizons probe go by as many as possible while it's on its pathway out. And the nice thing too is that it will have lots and lots of power to send back a strong signal, and it'll be able to take great pictures in dim light. It was made for that, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, also, I've been getting out my telescope and showing my neighbors and my daughter and other friends that come over when they're over in the evening, showing them the moons of Jupiter. If you look to the west, you'll see the moon, and you'll see 2 very bright dots. And the brightest of the 2 dots is Venus, and the dimmer dot is Jupiter. And they're right now, and I'm not sure what will be the case in a week, but they're getting closer and closer together, how they appear. Venus is doing this, its little orbit is doing this.
They're on different
and
planes,
Jupiter,
right?
yeah, and Jupiter's rounding and going this way. And so Venus is reaching its furthest point in its orbit. And so it will look like Jupiter and Venus are going to be very, very, very close together. And that'll be cool. And I don't know if I'll be able to capture that in a telescope shot, but I've been showing people.
They're on opposite sides of us, I thought, right?
Well, Venus, so to speak, Venus orbits closer to the sun than the Earth does.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a planet that's closer to the sun, and we're kind of like, we're looking at that. And Jupiter, and Jupiter is 5 times further from the sun than we are, so it's much, much further away.
It's like Jupiter over here, and then Venus, and then the sun's like over there.
Yeah, it'd be like putting a finger up in front of your face over here, and then sticking another finger farther out like that. And so the farther one would be Jupiter, and the closer one would be Venus.
It kind of seems like if you're looking at Jupiter, and then Venus would be behind you. Like if you're like, oh, there's Jupiter, and then you wouldn't be able to see Venus because it'd be on the side of the planet, but that's not really maybe how it works.
Yeah, Jupiter is very far away on the far side of the sun, so it's really far away, and Venus is on the closer side of the sun. Yeah, if the sun were right here, Venus would be over here, right? And Jupiter would be over there.
Well, how could you ever see? I don't understand how you could see Venus, because it looks like if you're looking at Venus, then you would be looking at the sun, because you got to look closer to the sun to see Venus.
In the telescope, it's a crescent. It's a half moon shape. Yeah, because we're seeing it. The sun is over here, and we're seeing the side that is illuminated. But because of the angle that we're at, it's only half. It's in half phase. And you can see that in the telescope. It's pretty cool. It's this little, what looks like a little half moon. And Jupiter, we're seeing the sunlit side because it's on the far side of the sun. And every time I've looked, the 4 little moons, sometimes you see 3 moons, sometimes you see 2 moons, sometimes 4 moons. And the other night, my daughter, I showed her, you could see 4 moons.
Wow.
And she's like, cool, cool. And the moon was really close to them, and it was a sliver. And so I showed her that, and she's like, you can see mountains, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah. Every time someone looks at the moon with their own eyes instead of like on television or in a book or
you can see the mountains of the moon?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, little mountain chains. Yeah, little clusters. Well, there are these flattened areas and then areas that were once craters, and the rim of the crater are like these mountain ridges.
That's crazy. I don't know if I've ever even seen that stuff. You can't take pictures with your telescope?
No, it's not built with an eyepiece that you can stick your camera onto and take a picture. I mean, I could try, but I don't think that would work with my camera. I might try it with my phone, right? Because I've got a little tiny phone. I just hold that up to the eyepiece.
Yeah.
And take a picture. And I might just try that and see what that looks like.
That's wow.
Yeah, but my phone camera is kind of shitty. So it's really not very good. I mean, it's okay in good lighting conditions, but otherwise it's meh.
Seems like there would be more videos of that stuff. I guess there's probably a ton of them. I just don't know where they are.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you will see stuff like people's posting. Certainly from me. I did a post yesterday of what's going on with Venus and Jupiter and where they are now and where they're going to be in a week or two. But I didn't have time to read much of it or be thorough.
You following all that stuff still? I mean, you know where Venus is going to be when you look. You have like numbers on your telescope, and you like put the numbers in there so you can find where everything is.
No, you need a little motor. You need a little motor that turns very, very slowly. You tell the little motor what your coordinates on the Earth is.
Yeah.
And then you set your telescope and you tell it where it is, and then you turn on the motor. And what it does is it slowly turns the telescope at the same rate that the Earth is turning. Because I've watched, it's crazy. I'll get a shot of Jupiter, and I watched Jupiter slowly move out of the picture.
Oh yeah.
Because of the turning of the Earth.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm sure Galileo noticed that too. You know. Because that tells you something. When you're taking a picture and everything is constantly moving in the same direction.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the Earth is turning, and my telescope is a little bit better than his, and he saw the moons of Jupiter, and he drew pictures of the moons of Jupiter, and he took notes about their constant changing. You can see the rings of Saturn. But it's so small, it just looks like there are these little blobs. And he drew pictures of what he saw of Saturn.
Well, it's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for being here today.
And Venus and Mars, too. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and Carl, and I think it's all people who talk to her on the phone, actually.
And our attempt to talk to Freddie?
Yeah. We didn't die. Episode 1725, or whatever, 1740 something. TCTV, channel 22, 11:32 a.m. Yeah. YDHWM.com, check it out. 360-836-4384. Crew guys want to move up? Anything you want though? Dance on the crew.
Yeah.
Daryl, Larry, Max, Nepitha, Zach, Zilger, UFO, PI, thank you. Crystal Ball, TCTV, Crystal Ball, Lil Baby, Jordan E, Fabulous, Thurston County, Washington State, USA, thank you. Viewers only.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed the show so much.
Hell yeah, dog.
That you just feel good, better about your day today.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Coming up in the next episode of the program.
Yeah.
Your daily out with me.
Yeah, it's the commercial. Carl has returned.
From where?
Elias.
He didn't elaborate.
Killed a spider, I think.
Yes.
Or not.
And
Dan Dobler's partying.
Yeah.
Freddie's on the phone again.
Welcome back, Freddie.
We're on every night, 11:30 and 2 a.m. on TCTV. Deep Town 22. Carl's car got broken into last year.
Yes.
It's hot.
It's hot.
360-364-384. Don't call us. We're dead.
We are dead. Maybe. Who knows?